Hey, everybody, I want to welcome you to Business Insights with Matt Milley. And I'm super excited this week because I have a guest who is out. They're not even in an industry that I'm normally focused on, but what they're going to provide and the value that he's going to go through with you is going to be really just unmatched. And the great thing about what he does is he's going to share some ways that you can recession-proof your business, no matter what your niche, no matter what industry you're in. But before we go any deeper, I'm first going to cue that intro.
Welcome to Business Insights with Matt Milley. I'm your host, Matt Milley, and in this podcast, we'll talk about the real, raw, uncut business success secrets you won't find anywhere else. Follow my journey from entry level to CEO. We discuss real actionable items you can plug into your business right away. To subscribe to our weekly top tips, you can go to www.mattpodcast.com and join our community of elite high-level performers. And if you're interested in our inside sales company, you can go to www.appointmentstoday.com to jump on a free strategy call. And now, stay tuned for our podcast.
Go DJ. Yo, that's my DJ. What's up, man?
What's up, dude?
How are you?
Oh my goodness. Good, man. Good. Thank you for the invite. I just seen you, didn't I? How was the trip home?
It was good. It was good. We flew into Baltimore. We did not almost miss our flight, which was good. And it was, it was pretty seamless. Only about 5 to 10 minutes delayed, so it was good. No complaints there. How about that drive? It was about a 10-hour drive for you? 9 hour, 10 hour?
Yeah. I think it was just under 10. It was not bad. Not bad,
good.
Actually.
Oh, good. Well, yeah, so for everyone that's watching, DJ and I literally just met, and it's really funny because I was just talking to my wife before, and we went to a real estate conference right before. We literally had one day in between, and then we immediately flew back out. So we got home, worked for a day, and then flew back out to Virginia Beach. And
holy cow!
And it was crazy. And then you and I met for Mikey's wedding, which is your cousin. And it's kind of funny.
Shout out Mikey and Amanda.
Yes. Hopefully by now they're enjoying their time on their honeymoon. Yeah. And it's crazy to think that we actually sat down next to each other and we immediately almost just started talking about business. Like, oh, what do you do? What are you into?
Yes, exactly. Oh, it's crazy.
And that really very rarely, if ever, happens. And it's funny because I was telling my wife earlier, she's like, we should bring some business cards with us to Virginia Beach. I'm like, who the hell are we going to meet in Virginia Beach? Like, we're going to the beach. Like, we're not going to meet anybody. And she's like, no.
Steph. Good job, Steph. Always ready. I think of business. I love it.
Right. And that's why, after that, I was like, all right, lesson learned. Now I know. Always be prepared, which is
Boy
funny.
Scouts, right? Isn't that the Boy Scouts anyways? Or something?
Exactly. It segues me, though, right into some of the topics, always being prepared, recession-proofing yourself for your business. So I'd love for you to share a little bit about what it is that you do, because for everyone that's watching, and again, I didn't even know that a business like this existed. Super intriguing, super interesting. Tell everybody kind of in a nutshell what it is that you do.
So basically, long story short, got into liquidation. And it stemmed then to the flea market industry. And I was not a flea marketer. I maybe went to them here or there, but it wasn't something. I'm not into very antique-y stuff or your typical flea market products. And right. So I didn't really go there. And but I didn't know how much my world really blended with them until becoming a vendor there from the resale. And the flea market industry is crazy, man. From the vendors to the community, it's just like so welcoming. It's so different. Very down to earth people. You can have a big, scary biker dude talking to this little old lady about some vase, and you can have I mean, you never know, and it's just no judgment. There's no. You get all walks of life there, and it's so much fun. And so we fell so much in love with it that we ended up. We thought me and Maggie have always had a love for real estate, and so me and my wife, and so flipping houses. We've done some flips, and so we thought we've always kind of the rich dad. You see shout out rich dad over here, but we that really got our bug even more to real estate. And then it was like, okay, hold on, this is kind of like an apartment building, but it's only rented twice a week, and then we get to use the land the rest of the time. This is a cool idea. Let's run with this. And
yeah. Well, for everyone that's watching, he didn't call me Rich Dad or call himself Rich Dad.
No.
Robert Kiyosaki wrote the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and a lot of the concepts that both of us are, talking about different cash flow quadrants and the different things to focus on in growing a business is some of the tenets and principles that we run our business off of. And it's funny because, and I would never think that somebody in like the flea market space is like, number one, I didn't even know that was a huge thing. And ultimately,
me neither.
Right. And then so you have a couple businesses. The other one, of course, is the logistics with the shipping. And then that's how
the two worlds kind of mixed. Yeah. So we got into liquidation because the shipping. I have a brokerage that with a book of business that's already operating, and it just kind of flowed. Made sense.
Well, and it's funny because I remember, so I always would see these people that would buy pallets. I have a buddy. He goes by the name of Broken Bill. You may actually know him, but Broken Bill is his name.
Broken Bill. Okay,
that's what he goes.
Look him up.
He he actually he gets things from like Walmart or from like some of the big box stores like Best Buy. I think he even used to get stuff from like Circuit City back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Where they would have things that were broken, and basically he would come in, get everything for like pennies on the dollar, and then he'd have someone that would actually go and fix these things, and then he would just resell them, which actually pretty cool now, because if you're about to be, work, and again, I know you're working on opening up a flea market, and when you do have that fully up and running, I mean, I've already probably given you a few names now of people that I know that'll be selling stuff there. So
yes, and reach out to us. We'd love to express. But that's kind of where the two worlds collided. So we ended up becoming a vendor at the flea market, and really then getting involved in that world. And the liquidation was so big in certain flea markets, and then other ones it wasn't really a draw. But the same question was always asked was, well, where do you get your pallets? Well, do you? And it's, some people are driving an hour and a half away. I mean, the stuff that some of these vendors do to make a living, it's like you guys are busting your butt. Like if I just showed you a few tricks, or we did a few things to help you, how much life would be easier. And that's really the vision and the goal with our next steps of the flea market. But it's the people are great. That's all I can say.
I love that though. That's great, because I mean you're looking for leverage points is essentially what you're doing.
Correct.
Ways that people can leverage their business, leverage their time. So I mean, in your vision, and I mean I don't know how much you want to go into, but in your vision with bringing in people to the flea market. So again, the way that I look at a flea market, and please, if I'm wrong, forgive me.
No.
So here, we'll just use this as an example.
Really old, dirty stuff like at a garage sale, right? Is that about
Sometimes I would think that, but like let's just say so this headset is normally $200. If it's a $200 headset, right, brand new $200. With this $200 headset, if I were to sell it at your flea market, let's say again it's used. So something that's used is generally going to go for probably 50 cents on the dollar, maybe even 30 cents on the dollar. So are you actually going in and buying the stuff that they have and then you're reselling it? Or are you giving them like the opportunity and saying, hey, come to my flea market. You could sell this headset for, let's call 50 cents on the dollar, $100. and then you say, well, hey, I'm going to charge you a $20 handling fee or whatever. Like, how does that work? I'm just curious.
Well, yeah. So the way the flea market works is there's spots or spaces that the vendors rent, and so they pay a rent almost like a storefront. Basically, it's a poor man's mall, is what I like to call it.
Oh, okay.
So it's a mall, but it's not these big flashy spaces in this huge building. It's usually in the rural areas, and so the vendors are traditionally a traditional flea market. I mean, the flea markets go back to the 1700s, but
that's crazy.
Traditional flea market, is anybody selling anything that they have, and it's typically even a bartering system. So, like, speaking of recession and recession proof, I mean, this could be a lot of people's way of just making it by through what's going on. But anyways, so you do see a mix of garage sale items to antiques to records to collectibles to sports cards to you name it, to homemade stuff. And that's really the cool thing. And that's where we see the vision of it is more, hey, if you ever wanted to start your own business, but you really didn't know how or what you wanted to do, but you just didn't like what you were doing, even the ability to buy it. So we're going to end up, once we do go get through the process with the flea market, we're going to end up doing like a business in a box type deal or a business in a pallet, where they would get pallets of liquidated stuff. We would then teach them all of the processes to just, kind of setting that up.
I love that. So you'd kind of have like so it sounds like to me, number one, you probably need someone to help you with video production, which, hey, shameless plug, our guys can do that. We actually have a team of administrative staff that can plug right into your business. There's a one-time charge to our business to find that person, train them up, put them in, and away you go. That was a pretty seamless plug right there. That worked out.
That was perfect, though. That was perfectly placed, my friend. And we will need that. So yeah, we will be talking.
I wasn't even planning on that. However, this is where I think that there's massive value. So you put together, let's call it a like a Wistia or like a Kajabi, or I know I'm like speaking different languages probably right now, and you're like, what the heck is he saying? These are different, maybe I don't know, but these are different platforms that you can go and you can actually put video educational content on. You stream that video educational content, and then you can essentially have a package that you sell every month. So, hey, for $197, show you how to be, the flea market king. Oh, that's a good one. The Flea Market King. You should see if the fleamarketking.com is available.
Like the Tiger King.
Right. The Flea Market King or Queen. We don't want to, we don't want to.
We're not.
Yeah. But that's
hilarious.
I love the idea because it's something that, like, let's put it this way. All of us, we've all made bad business choices at one point or another in our life, whether we made a poor investment, bought a stock that we thought, it's going to shoot through the roof, or, maybe you put a bunch of money into Bitcoin. We won't talk about that. You may have just bought a lot of things you shouldn't have bought. And if you had a mentor, you had someone to show you the ropes and, paint the picture for you and really hold your hand and walk you through all the ins and outs, there's a high likelihood that you'd have a higher level of success. Is that something that you're kind of looking at doing, is offering some sort of like a coaching type system?
That's basically, yeah. I've coming from where I came from, the education of these kind of things, that's why I give shout out to Rich Dad and things like that. Robert Kiyosaki. If it wasn't for YouTube and Audible, I wouldn't know half the stuff I know. Probably most of the stuff I know. And so it's really just bringing that for, the people who might not know the resources or where to go to find that stuff, or it's even out there. Because I mean, for a long time, I felt kind of crazy. Like I was like in this crazy world where people think I'm nuts with all these crazy ideas. Well, look at those people. How do they have these crazy big businesses and they're doing these things? Oh, no, just go to work and do this. Huh? And so, it was very just in me. And I've probably worked at every place and sold everything that you possibly think of, just trying to find that where it was like, no, this is not for me. This is actually my vision. and trying to help people who are maybe in that spot who don't have the place to find that information, just make it a little more easier for them to find it.
I love that. And I think too, one of the things that we really didn't think on, you don't necessarily need to have a doctorate or a master's degree, or really, I mean, any degree of any sort to get into a lot of sales type positions.
Correct.
But this position is kind of, you can make really your own, you can kind of make your own income. You can really make your own, and kind of figure out, obviously you got to get inventory. You need space for the inventory, but then once you have it, what's the difference, or I guess where would the value be between selling at a flea market, in your opinion, versus like selling on Amazon? Like, what do you see difference? Do you see different values in each? Like, what are your thoughts?
So starting, where the idea came from was the Flow resale, and that's where we started with the e-commerce. So, I mean, I did the Shopify, and the shipping's a pain in the ass. It's costly. It's not fun. And it's and so we do plan to maybe incorporate a little bit of that, because my connections with shipping, we do have some abilities to offer some good discounts with that. So we probably will offer a version of that, because I plan to kind of make this an intertwined old school to new school. And so that's where the vision is to eventually kind of change it to not a flea market, but a flow marketplace. And so it's like this old school meets new school. So we got the antiques, we got the typical garage sale stuff, but we have the liquidated stuff. We have so e-commerce. There's two sites called Handshake and Fair, where they, local companies that, they don't have the billions of dollars or the funding that they're going into the Walmarts and the Targets of the world, but they still have cool products. And so we want to then partner with stuff like that as well, to offer like booths for those kind of products to just expand on a lower scale. So kind of the same vision of the e-commerce world of Shopify and Handshake Fair, but on a local level.
I love that. So essentially, what I'm hearing, and I like the fact that you're diversifying, because you're not just doing one or the other. Because what I've heard is, so like, I'll give you an example. If I were to go into Asia and buy 10,000 fidget spinners, I might be able to buy that fidget spinner for like $1.50, because I'm buying a quantity, right? And then I go onto Amazon and I'm like, hey, I'm going to sell for $5.99. The problem that I feel like, and again, I could be wrong here, but this is what I've heard. The biggest challenge that I've heard that Amazon takes like 80%, 70 to 80% of what you charge. And then you're left with like a small micro fraction of a dollar amount to also ship. So it's like, by the time everything is said and done, you're lucky if you even break even or make a couple bucks. Have you seen that?
So I have not experienced that myself, but and again, I'm not here to bash Amazon or anybody, but
right,
yeah, have a customer that was for Flow resale. Actually, he had 2 stores on Amazon and 2 stores on eBay, and because of the fees just keep going up and up and up, and he was just making less, he actually closed both of his Amazon stores and only have eBay stores now. But this guy sells like replacement parts for drones. But yeah, he said the fees were just getting insane. So yeah, I guess it's true. I don't know for sure though.
Well, here's the deal, DJ. My Amazon Prime bill will tell everybody that I love Amazon. So no disrespect to Amazon. But
how can you not love it? You think of something and all of a sudden here it is.
Right.
I
think I have a package unopened at my door that's from Amazon. I mean, yeah, I get stuff there every day. I guess but what I'm getting at is, I think if you don't have the know-how, if you don't know like what distributors to use, you don't know how to ship it, you don't necessarily set your margins properly.
I'm so glad you brought that up. Yes, because if you're operating in these easy to do systems, usually you're eating up a lot of what you could make and wasting a lot more time. And that's where we want to help them understand that, hey, yeah, there is very easy to do, where you just do this, and like they show that app they're constantly showing on TikTok. Scan the stuff here, send it to Amazon. You send it to Amazon, then they store it, they ship it from there. That's still a process, and there's a lot of, they don't tell you how much of a pain in the butt that really is. But listen, I had customers that were buying stuff from us and then selling it on Amazon. So I know what they had to do, and it's a pain. Pain in the butt. So
I can imagine. And that's where I think so going back to the model of having a flea market. So like, and again, I know it's not open yet. I'm just curious if I wanted to be a vendor there. Does that work as like, I'm paying you per time that I show up as a vendor? Am I a vendor on a monthly basis? Am I a yearly vendor? How have you ever thought through
Yep.
kind of
So the way most flea markets are is there's a daily rate or a weekly rate.
Okay.
The flea market that we're at currently, so they have a weekly rate for the indoor vendors. So they're open twice a week. I'll just give a plug if that's cool. Jamie's Flea Market is actually where we're at right now in Amherst, but they're open Wednesdays and Saturdays from 8 a.m. till 4 p.m. Every year round. Indoor vendors are always there. Depending on weather is when the outdoor vendors are there. And so the indoor vendors, it's a weekly rate. It's $28 for the old building and $31 for the new. And that's what you pay for. It's a 10 by 10 space for that amount. Most vendors have at least 2 spaces. So they got a 20 by 10 spot that they set up their little storefront, and no rules on. Obviously, you want to make it look like a little, some vendors have really nice, like almost look like a little storefront. And then some have, like me, I have it in boxes, and just on pallets. So yeah, you can get a mix.
Did I spell that right? Jamies?
That's it.
Jamie's Flea Market. Awesome.
Yeah.
And where's that located?
Amherst.
Okay. All right. That's why I was asking about Amherst. Okay, now I got it. All right, cool. So yeah, for everyone that's watching, definitely if you're local in the Cuyahoga County, Lorain County, anywhere in Northeast Ohio area, and you want to try something different, definitely go to Jamie's Flea Market. And if you got some stuff to sell, definitely go there.
Yeah, listen, you want to make some. I mean, you'd be surprised. I'm no joke, dude. I mean, some of these vendors make some really good money. It's pretty insane.
Oh, I can imagine. I could definitely imagine, and I think the biggest obstacle for most people in their business is, how do you recession proof? And this is a great way to do it. I mean, it's funny because my wife and I were talking about we're talking about different real estate options. I'm gonna leave it at that because we're in Tampa right now, and we're like, well, we still want to have a place back in Ohio again. So how do we configure? What do we do? How do we make that work? The first thing that would definitely need to happen immediately would be consolidation. I have so much, for lack of better words, junk. Not all junk. There are some really good things, but again, another man's junk is another man's trash is another man's treasure. Wow,
it's something like that. But yes, and that's the flea market now.
Right. So I'm thinking to myself, and there actually is a local flea market right down the road. If there was a way to get the stuff up to you, I mean, I'd figure it out. But I'm sure.
Man. Well, that might be something we figure out as well. We'll see.
Right. But I think that the most important thing right now is figuring out ways that you can consolidate some of the stuff that you have. If there's something you're not using, I mean, it's just, especially with all this, I hate to use the word supply chain issues because I'm sure you've heard that a million times. Our supply chain issues. Let me ask you a question. This is going to sound totally outlandish and crazy. Are supply chain issues really supply chain issues, or are they human issues where people they don't have the workers or the staff, or like what? Would you mind debunking that?
So they're not as extreme as they are, but they are very controlled, and could be if if they weren't as regulated and there wasn't certain restrictions, they probably would be a lot easier for a lot of people. But it is what it is.
I got it. Well, and I figured, I mean, so I had a couch piece that was worn, and I mean, it was under warranty, and took about 7 months for me to get to the replacement piece for the couch. So I mean,
and again, it's just because nobody really, they pulled the curtain from what really has been going on. I mean, it seems like a mystery, but I mean, if you just look around in your room right now, any single thing you see touched a truck to get to you.
Right.
Probably touched multiple trucks, boats, trains, and everything else.
Right.
And so it's I mean, it's a big web that's out there that moves and really makes the world work. But it's they're not making it easy with the gas prices and with everything else. But
what I was going to ask you, I mean, what have you seen? So I'm assuming that drivers are having to raise their rates. Which in turn, I guess, depending on how contracts and things work, I don't want to go too deep into the weeds, but I'm kind of wondering, how does that even? So, do you actually have to go and renegotiate all of that, or do they?
Oh yeah, rates are so. That's what most people. It's a crazy world. But I mean, 90% of freight is moved on contract already, but the contracts are always getting renegotiated because the shipping market, I mean, it really is a market just like a stock market, just like the housing market. I mean, it's ups and downs. It's the people who understand the game, they're the ones not freaking out. The shippers really made a bunch of money last year, so the smart ones banked. But the problem is, and it always is, but it's just like, again, it's just like the real estate, it's just like the stock market. There's a big hype, and it's, oh, look at all the money these truckers are making. Now everybody wants to buy trucks and be a trucker, but they don't even understand like operating cost. And then they just think, well, they keep taking loads. Well, they end up driving down the market. They go out of business. The big companies stay, but it's the Bitcoin. It's the people who jumped in on Bitcoin, not really knowing what they're doing, and whoops.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of it is just, I mean, it boils down to, I think everything in business boils down to diversification, being diverse, living beneath your means, obviously looking for ways to grow your bank account, grow your business, and then of course finding times when you double down on things that are working.
Yes.
And that,
yes,
I mean, that in itself, I think will really help recession proof a lot of businesses. And again, living beneath your means. I think that's so important. I just got rid of, I had a really awesome Dodge Challenger. It was a fun car. I loved it. The lease came up due. I bought out the lease. And, for a minute, I sat there and I'm like, well, gee, I love this car. Maybe I'll just keep it. And I'm like, do I really need two cars? I work from the house. I'm going to make an extra $7,000 selling the thing. I'm like, forget it. I sold it.
Nice.
When do you make money on a lease? You never. I have never, ever in my life made money on a lease. I leased the business, so it was, total win. And I'm like, well, might as well, cash out. So,
smart man. No, and cars are still going pretty high right now. So
crazy. It really is.
Oh yeah, all the markets are crazy, but it's just again, 95% of what we consume here in the United States is not made here in the United States. So.
Right. So true. Well, for everyone that's watching, again, I want to flash this. So Jamie's Flea Market, if you're local, if you're in the area. And by the way, DJ, how do people get in touch with you? Can they find you on social media?
So shameless plug, obviously, but Sales Chatter Live, we do have a sales and logistics podcast that we do daily on LinkedIn and on YouTube. So it's streamed on YouTube, on my Facebook channel or Facebook group, which is Freight 101. Or you can find us on LinkedIn, DJ Flores or Sales Chatter Live. But yeah, we're Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. till 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. Basically just designed it to help salespeople, especially, people at home who are selling from their computer, just behind the computer alone, kind of start their day right. Little motivation, little energy.
Is Sales Chatter live? Is that a .com, or how do you, or is that something that they can just go and type in YouTube?
Yeah, if they just look it up in YouTube, Sales Chatter Live, you'll find it.
Awesome. All right. So then what I had on the screen was just about as perfect as it could be. So there it is, guys. So Sales Chatter Live, for everybody that's tuning in, definitely check that out. I've actually watched a couple of episodes, and it's just funny because totally different industries, totally different, yet so many similarities. And
right? I mean, it's a relationship. In the end, we're just building relationships, guys. That's all we're doing.
And I watched your episode about cold calling, and I was like, your guest said something like, "Oh, cold calling and this," and I'm like, because cold calling can work, but it doesn't work on its own. I think that it has to be paired up with other things. You got to do retarget marketing, do the cold calling, send some emails. I always go back to a gentleman by the name of Jay Abraham, which if you've never heard of Jay Abraham, I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of him.
That's awesome. I don't know how we're like exactly like, it's crazy. Like,
it is crazy. Maggie said the same thing, by the way.
Crazy. But you got to hit them by land, hit them by air, hit them by...
That's right. Just stay in front of them. All you got to do is just stay in front of them. It's not... Sometimes I just seen a video, and are we running on time, or are you trying to end? Because
you're good. I mean, go ahead.
So it was a real estate. It was talking about real estate. So it was an 8x8. Check out the TikTok. I'm sure you could find it. But this dude, so spot on. It was money. But he said they did a canvas the neighborhood, asked who the best realtor it was in that neighborhood. They got bunch of different answers, not one single answer. Then they canvassed that area with postcards, 8x8. So they did one postcard a month or a week for 8 weeks or something like that. Went back out there, canvassed that area, and the fake agent that they put on this postcard, they made up a fake agent, they were told was the number one agent in that area. There you go, folks. It's not. It's who's known. It's who's known. You got to be known.
It's brand recognition, and I think that in itself, because there's a study that was done that 95% of people that do business with brands that they already know, like, and trust. And the easiest way to become known, liked, and trusted is, one, give some results in advance. So whatever it is that you're doing,
give something away. I love it, Alex Hormozy.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
You have to, and that's actually also an old school. That's a Frank Kern tendency, where you give away something in advance so that you show them results in advance, so that they're like, oh my gosh, you're actually helping me grow my business.
Show them the value you bring. Show them the value you bring, and they'll keep wanting you back.
Right, exactly, and that is where and then again, it goes back to doing all of the things you need to do. You don't just cold call. You don't just email. You don't just do retargeting marketing. You do all of the above. And when you do that, again, the only choice becomes you and your business, because you're in front of them so much, so often, that it just becomes a part of their ecosystem. And of course, that's when they're going to say, oh, yeah, that's the go-to guy. So I love that you shared that. That was a great, great example.
No problem, man.
Well, DJ, anything else that you want to add here before we close things out?
No, thank you, man. Thank you for inviting me. Well, obviously we're going to have you on Sales Chatter. I'll have to talk to Dan about that. But yeah, dude, it's fun. I love it.
That'd be awesome. Well, I appreciate you jumping on. And for everyone that's watching, see you guys same time, same channel next week. Thanks again, DJ. See ya.